There we go. Okay, well, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back to the White Sands Self Care Community. I am your host and resource for self care, Laura Cross, and I have with me today this beautiful lady, Rhona Bicette. She is a mindset coach working specifically with women who are experiencing adversity. Rhona, thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me on. Thank you so much. It's
I
wonderful to
love
be
what you
here.
do. It's an important topic. Can you tell us what inspired you to become a mindset coach, particularly focusing on women going through the challenging situations?
Well, back in, about 10 years ago, I went through my own really, really difficult situation, which was very traumatic for me, but I didn't recognize at the time. I had fibroids and I had to have a hysterectomy. And in having a hysterectomy, this meant that I could no longer have children. And everything felt like everything came tumbling down. But what's really strange about the whole experience was when I had the hysterectomy, I was actually quite glad to have it because my menstrual cycle was off the wall, and I was like, I really, I couldn't deal with it. When you have 3 weeks of a period a month, it was too much. It's just too much for me. But then when I had the hysterectomy, it was like, oh my God, this is what I've done, this is what has happened, and now I can't have children if I want to, and it was really, really a kind of really difficult process. And I think being the kind of person I am, I'm kind of bubbly and like nobody realized that I was really down and out. I was like, oh yeah, I'm fine, everything's cool, yeah, yeah. But when I was alone with myself and I was alone with my thoughts, I wasn't. I was like, where do I go from here? I remember, it's really strange because I actually remember thinking I will never get the opportunity to work with children and to work with my own child and to have an impact on children's lives and my own child's life. But the funny thing was, at the time I was actually working in a school and I was doing that very same thing. But I just like I couldn't recognize it because it was such a big deal for me. So I decided that I wanted to turn it around and use different methods to help myself turn it around. And I did. I started to work on my self-healing. I started to work on my self-development work, and I did a lot of reading. I went to a lot of workshops. I even ended up seeing a counselor for a while to try to work on myself, to work on me becoming the best me I could possibly be. And that's kind of where I started. And I've just been going and going and going and going from then on. Actually, during COVID, and it was my 50th year. It was my year I was turning 50. And I was like, you know what? You've got this is what you want to do. And this is an opportunity. As much as it was terrible that I lost my
Mhm.
job, but it was like, this is an opportunity. This is an opportunity for you to be able to go out and start doing some of the stuff that you want to do, start talking to people, start actually making a difference in lives of people. And that's when I started really putting it to work and actually sharing more with people. I was having conversations before, but I wasn't sharing it as I wanted to. And I really started. So I would say 21, 22, that's when I kind of started my business and I started sharing what I was going through with a lot of women. And it's been spectacular. It's been like a completely spectacular situation.
So you were fairly young then when you had the hysterectomy done.
Yeah, I was 42 because I'm 52 now. So I was
Okay.
42. I wasn't very, very young, but in my mind, it was like I wasn't in a relationship.
Right.
I needed to get this situation sorted. It was all like practical, practical, practical. And then when it happened, I actually remember sitting in the hospital and just crying to myself the day after the operation. And I remember one of the other patients came over to me. She said to me, why are you crying? And I said I was in pain. And she said to me, well, why don't you get some painkillers from the doctors and whatnot? And I was like, it's not that kind of pain. And it wasn't. It was almost like I had a loss. It was
Right.
literally grieving over the fact that I had no longer had a womb, which I thought was going to be totally fine and everything was going to be cool. But I learned from that. And I think by doing what I do now, it gives women the opportunity, the women I work with, the opportunity to be able to share what they are going through for all different things. It's I do deal with a lot of as I say, I deal with a lot of people, women going through adversity. So we speak about a lot about women who go through adversity, but it's not just medical. Some of it is just things that are going that it might be a relationship situation, it might be a job situation. And I think one of the things I think I've noticed about particularly about women is I was doing some reading the other day, and I live in just outside of London. I live in Essex, and I was doing some reading, and we were talking about women in employment and how women don't get paid the same level, and it's not always fair. And it's if you look at it, women are always the ones in every situation that are always coming out on the most difficult, working the hardest, because they're the ones carrying the children around. They're the ones picking up the kids from school and dropping the kids to play and doing all of that. But they're not getting treated fairly. And it's about taking care of yourself so you can be able to deal with that. Because, I mean, we've just gone through COVID and so many different situations have happened. I've got women I'm working with now, and we're 2 years down the line from COVID, who are still struggling to come out of the house because they've been stuck in these situations for such a long time. So things like mental health and all of that is something that's really, really, really something that's really important and really needs to be looked at and discussed.
Yeah. And like
Yeah.
we always say, it's always different for everybody and the experiences are different because I
Oh,
was, let me see,
yes.
50, I think I was 54 when I had my total hysterectomy because of fibroids and all that stuff. But for me, it's like it wasn't a big deal because I mean, I decided I didn't want kids past 30. Oh, we had already decided a while ago we weren't having them. And so, yeah, for me, it was like I was never even down from the surgery. They gave me the painkillers and stuff, but I'm like, I don't even need this. And it's like, and I felt perfectly fine. But then, like you said, then there's other women that, yeah, have a feeling like a loss or something's missing. So it's
Yeah.
definitely,
And
yeah.
like, and when I think about it, I didn't even have it. I was 42. There are people who go through hysterectomies in a lot young ages, like they're in their 20s, because they have to have it for all different reasons, all different medical reasons. So it's
Hmm.
it's like something that, like, and it's really funny because I've gone on about 5 or 6 podcasts, and you are about the fourth or fifth person that said to me, I had a hysterectomy too. So it's such a common thing. It's so common. But yet when you were going through it at the time, you kind of think, oh, it's isolated and I'm all
Well,
alone.
though they've gotten better. Everybody told me, oh, you're going to be down for 6 weeks. I said, it's 3 holes in a robot. How hard can this be? I doubled up on liquid collagen. I never felt like I was down. I didn't need the patch. And I'm like, I'm
Yeah, but that's really
fine.
great.
But
Well, that was really great because I didn't have. I've got a big slash in my stomach. There was
yeah,
no, yeah, I didn't have a keyhole.
I have
I had
relatives
surgery.
that have that too because they were, they're older than me and they had to have it done when they were like 35. So, definitely a younger age. And yeah, they didn't have that kind of technology then
Yeah,
or the skills or
exactly,
the skills. So women's
exactly.
experiences with adversity, that can be diverse. So how do you tailor your coaching to meet the unique needs or different for different individuals?
Well, I do a lot of one-to-one work. So I do work with a lot of women one-to-one on their specific needs. And I do a lot of my work when I first approach them it is very general. And we do look at just like basically, well, what's going on for women, how our lives are similar, and how we can look at doing things for ourselves to make things differences in our lives. But I do break it down and I do go very specific and I do a lot of one-to-one work. I find that sometimes it's the little things, very, very small things. So it's about, for some people, it's about spending 10 minutes of the day just doing something for themselves, whether it's just sitting down and doing a little meditation or doing a bit of stretching or exercising, whatever it is, but giving yourself that little bit of time. And sometimes that little bit of time can make a massive difference to your whole day. Absolutely make a massive difference to your whole day. And I think because people don't think about some of the things they're going through, and they're not thinking about what they're actually thinking about. I do a whole lot of work about your thoughts and the words that you use and how that impacts you. I'm one with the universe, so I believe that what you put out there is out there and it's affecting you. So you have to be very, very careful in the way you speak, and all the I can't do this and I'm unable
Mhm.
to do that, and it's not going to work for me. It never has. And like believing that the person you are today is the person you have to be in 20 years' time, which isn't. In reality, we all grow and we all develop. If I was the person I was when I was 16, it'd be a calamity.
Yeah, same here. It's like you wouldn't be seeing me here if I was that same person.
Yeah, so it's about knowing that we are developing and we are growing and we are becoming different, and it's about taking that and just working on that and being the better you can be is the best it can be for you and for the people that you care about. So that's my main thing. A lot of people I want success. I want to start a business. And it's all about, well, what are you doing about yourself? Because I'm very much about the self. It's
Mhm.
all about the self. And it's about making sure that yourself is okay, that you're taking care of yourself. Self-care is just like massively important in all the work that I do. It's massively important.
Yeah. And it's, I'm finding more and more people that are actually realizing that, but there's a lot of people out there that don't. They think, well, this is this and this is that. And it's like, no, it's actually all encompassing, because if you're not okay here, it's not going to be okay over there.
Right. And it's about like attracting things to you. When you are taking care of yourself and you are doing the right things for yourself, all of a sudden things are going to start being attracted to you. And sometimes it's all about perception. So
Mhm.
sometimes you don't see something differently because you're looking through this kind of very, very narrow kind of way of thinking. I mean, I did a conference this week actually, and I was talking to somebody and they mentioned AI. And there was this one woman who was adamant that AI is going to be taking people's jobs. And she was like, anti AI. And I said to her, I'm not saying that it's not going to have an effect on the industry, the economy, and the job industry and all that. But what I'm saying is, why can't we use it to better ourselves while it's here? Because there's nothing we can do about it. We're not gonna,
Right.
unless you have got some, you're gonna be taking on these big corporations, you're not gonna be taking on Microsoft and all these type of people. So it's going to happen, but it's about using it to do what is better for yourself and for the people that you work around and things like that. And I think sometimes we get into that kind of mindset where we're like, no, 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 can't do that, never. I mean, the reality is, before COVID, I knew nothing about Zoom. I have been on so many Zoom calls since. That's the reality.
And
That
you're an
is,
expert now,
I didn't
aren't
even
you?
know exactly, and I didn't even know Zoom existed. So it's about how you can use what is out there to help yourself and to make things better for you. And it's really, really important. And I'm not saying everything that's out there is good. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying it's all great. I'm not saying the reasons that people are doing it are for the right reasons, but it's about using it. And it's just about perception.
Yeah.
The difference between me and her, it wasn't like we came from completely different places and it's just like, well, I see it completely different. It's like, well, it is out there. How can I use this to help me? How can I use this to develop? How can I use this to help my life be better? How can I use this to help other people? And that for me, that's what it's about.
It's a yin and yang. Everything can get taken too far one way and be bad, or taken, too far the other way. It's like kind of finding the balance. And
Yeah,
yeah, if
absolutely.
you don't abuse it and use it for, enhancing and doing certain things, and not just to take over and do everything for you. Yeah. I mean, there's a
Yeah,
balance,
exactly.
just like to anything, there's balance.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And we
So could,
we really need to recognize that. Yes. Go on.
yeah. So could you describe maybe some of the effective strategies or techniques that you've used to empower women in overcoming the adversity and building their resilience?
Um, one of the things, as I said before, one of the things is small steps. And I think a lot of the things I work with on a lot of women is what what are your routines like?
Hmm.
Looking at your daily routines. So looking at your morning routine when you get up in the morning and some of the things that you actually do. Do you wake up, literally wake up thinking, oh my God, this is going to be a terrible day. I can't believe I'm getting up. I've got to go to work. And is that how you start your day? Because how you start your day could determine how the rest of the day goes. And it is something that is really, really small. But when people start looking at, you know what, that is pretty much how I'm thinking every day I wake up. It's like, well, okay, how about we put something else into our thoughts? And at the beginning, you don't necessarily have to believe it, but it's about repeating it and hearing it in your mind and talking to yourself differently. You can start to make small changes. And it's really about, and I do a lot of work. I do a lot of work with a lot of different women about routines, and not just morning routines, nighttime routines, you know, the internet, laptops, phones have taken over, and we spend hours and hours on these things. We spend hours, and it's about everything in moderation. Everything has to be in moderation. So um I mean, like, I remember having a massive discussion. We ended up having a half an hour discussion basically on the blue light of a phone and how the melatonin can affect your sleep. And like
Mhm.
people, and they say and I've had women who say to me, oh, when I can't sleep, the first thing I do is grab my phone. I said, well, that's actually going to make it worse.
It
Because
does.
the blue light is stopping the melatonin hormone from working. So it's, those type of things and being aware. I am an avid lover of journaling. So I love to journal. I've journaled. I used to keep a diary actually when I was younger, but I found diaries are very like stringent and you can only write in the space. And so now I just have journals. And if today I write 2 pages, great. If I wake up in the morning, I write 2 pages, great. If I want to write half a page, if I want to write 2 sentences, that's fine. And I use it for things like my affirmations. And I use it for like manifestation. Sometimes I even use it to put my dreams in. And sometimes when I talk to people about journaling, they're like, oh, I don't know if I could do that. That's like a chore. And I'm like, well, you don't make it a chore because you make it something you've got to make it something you want to do, something you enjoy. And it's not even like I do journal every morning, but there are people who journal last thing at night. And if that's your thing, then that's what you should do. So and it's all different techniques, very very small things you can do to make things different. Like for instance, I worked with a lady, and like I said to her, I have learned that every morning I get up, the first thing I do is make my bed. And she's like, I never do that. I just like throw the stuff over and move on, and I've got things to do. And I said, okay, I'll tell you what, make your bed for a week, just for a week, a whole week. Just make sure your bed's made, the pillows are plastered, everything. And when we talked, she came back to me and she was like, you know what? This week has been a better week. I said, oh, it's probably because you made your bed all week. And it can be something as small as that. Yep. As small as that, but it's really, as I said, I can't emphasize anymore the importance of women taking care of themselves and looking after who they are.
So that brings a question to mind. If you do all the journaling, have you ever thought about putting it together in a book?
You know what? I was having a conversation with my sister today. I was having this conversation with my sister about that. I said to her, I have got so much information because my sister, she enjoys writing, and like she's kind of writer in the family. She's in journalism. And my sister, I said to her, you know what? Maybe I need to start thinking about writing a memoir. And it's really, and that's what I mean. That's what I mean by manifestation. Today, I was talking to my sister about that, and I happen to be talking to you today, and that question happens to come up. But yes, it is definitely something I have started to think about.
I had a gentleman on my show recently that was talking about how, they told me, he has all this knowledge, he should put it together in a book, and they got him to do one, and he's like, I was never going to do another one. And then the person said, well, hey, maybe you can just write us like a little article to put in a blog like once a week. And he goes, and then I realized they got me writing another book. That was just their sneaky way of making them write another book. Because then, at the end, you could just put all those together and whoop, there's another book.
Absolutely.
So that's why it made me think of that when you said you were journaling, and I'm like, okay, so is she going to put a book together?
Yeah, I've got, and you know what? I have all the information from when I was 16. I still have the books there from when I was 16. So I have loads of information, and the whole story of when I was going through my my whole hysterectomy, I journaled all through that. So I've got like how I actually was feeling at the time. Yeah.
I bet you do. I bet you got a world of knowledge to share with everybody. Well, we're kind of in a little overtime, but that's okay. What's the best way for people to connect with you, and how do you work with them?
The best way for people to connect with me is either through my Instagram, which is Self-Help Hub for Women. That's my IG. Or they can connect with me on my website, which is also the Self-Help Hub for Women.co.uk. Or they can find me on Facebook, which I have a page, Self-Help Hub for Women as well. And that's probably the three best ways to connect with me. But I can pass them on to you. I don't know if you can put them in. I can pass.
If you have them in the form, I think you have them in the form that you filled out. And if you do, I will make sure they're all in the comments so everyone knows how to get a hold of you. And just real quick, because we were having a quick chat, and you said something about possibly launching a podcast.
Yes.
Would you like to tell us about that?
I am launching. I'm wanting to launch a podcast in the next month or so. It's all going to be about women sharing their stories. So they're going to come on and share their stories with me about how they've gone through their adversity and telling their stories and giving them time to tell their stories. I am looking to call it reaching the other side, basically getting onto the other side. So that's going to be with Rhona. So I will be doing a sit down, half an hour session, talking to women about how they've gone through their situations and how they feel that what their achievements have been. And I think I would really love to do something like that, because I like to talk and I like to chat, and I enjoy that kind of thing. So that's definitely something I'd really, really love to do. And I'm looking forward to it. Definitely looking
It's a
forward to it.
lot of fun when you do it. You get to meet a lot of wonderful people across the world
Yeah.
and learn all different
Yes,
things.
I
I
know.
will tell you, because I really enjoy meeting all the different people. So
Yeah,
I'm
fantastic.
sure you will enjoy it. And it's
Yeah.
a great topic.
Yeah. Yes,
So,
absolutely.
well, wonderful. Well, Rhona, I want to thank you very much for taking the time and sharing that with the community here. Anybody, if you are in that realm or you want to reach out or with what Rhona said to you resonates with you, make sure you connect with her. I am sure she can be a very good asset and resource for you. So thank you everyone for joining us, and we will see you again next week.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.
Thank you.
And bye for now.
Bye-bye.